this is of interest to you. Fantastic. So everybody, can anybody here tell me what it means to be wealthy? What does it mean? What does the word wealthy mean? Aaron? To have a lot of money. Okay, good. To be wealthy is to have an abundance of a material value or a resource. Which means, boys, that there's a limited amount of this item that's out there, and it's up for the taking of who's going to claim most of it. And the more you have it, the more affluent or the more wealthy you can become. Now I understand that wealth is generally attributed to monetary items, but for our conversation, we're going to broaden the definition of wealth and to expand it into other areas that are importance to us, such as education and our religion, our spirituality. You know, I always find it amusing when there's a political race happening and we listen to Democrats and Republicans discuss how they're going to help average Americans obtain such wealth. And so you listen to a Democrat and a Democrat will say, the rich are not paying their fair share. They need to pony up what belongs to the rest of the country, and they need to help stabilize what is ultimately a rigged game to help everybody have a fair chance at wealth. And then you listen to a Republican and they'll say, no, hold the brakes. Okay? The way it works is something called trickle-down economics. The rich need to pay less tax so that they can take their money, and when they spend their money, it'll trickle down to everybody in all the other classes. And you know what I've learned in my lifetime watching political races and seeing how politicians work their craft? Nobody wants to get anything done because all we want to do is make excuses, right? Because then when we talk, oh, how come your plan didn't work? Well, really, it could have worked, but you see, the House, they did their thing, and the Senate, they did their thing, and nobody was willing to work together, and they were blocking it. We all just want to make excuses. Nobody wants to get stuff done. So now here's what I want to worry about is going back to wealth. There's a limited amount of resources that are available to be taken, and very few people are actually claiming it. So I want to refocus back to us, back to our lives, and I want to see what do we do different to make sure that we don't end up the same. And here's what I notice, right? Let's talk about from a monetary perspective. There's an opportunity for us to work in a local Sunday program. Mom sends me a text. Hey, bud, you want to go to PT? No, I'm sorry, wrong text, sorry. Mom says, hey, you want to work on Sundays from 12 to 4? There's a great program available. Ma, I can't. The football game is on. I can't miss football. And I have BJEs. You know how important BJEs, Ma. I can't work. I can't do it. We make excuses, right? From a religious perspective, right? We talk about how, Rabbi, I love the religion. I love everything there is about Judaism. But Hajj, Rabbi, I can't. Half the thing is not even is in Aramaic. I don't understand anything that's going on. Right, my Ivri teacher is teaching me about Vav HaHipuch. What the heck is Vav HaHipuch, and what does that have to do with my lifetime? You know what? The whole system is rigged against me. You don't even want me to be successful. We make excuses. From an education standpoint, you're taking a test and the teacher, for whatever reason, refuses to answer a question. Coach, I swear the teacher was being so unreasonable. I couldn't even answer a single question the whole time. It was the teacher's fault. He was so unreasonable. Even ask him, the people in the room. It was the teacher's fault, not mine. We make excuses. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor, author of a very well-known book called Man's Search for Meaning, was discussing his experience at the Holocaust. And he wrote something so fascinating. I promise you, when I read these words, it shook me to my core. He was describing throughout the experience of how humiliating it was to be a Jew, to be a human being, to experience what he had to experience. They ripped them out of their homes. They took away their clothing. They were barely allowed to eat any food. Any sense of pride, any sense of nationality, all went out the window. Every single person had a very reasonable argument to question God and to try to grapple with what is happening to me and why is this fair? Why is it fair that I should have to go through this? And you know what Viktor Frankl does in this book? Talking about his journey. He talks about experiences in which he longs for, in which he cannot wait to do in this experience. And so he talks about going through these treacherous, difficult walks in the cold with no shoes and starving. And he says, I wanted to think of my wife, because when I thought of my wife, it allowed me to think about happy things. It allowed me to reflect and to think about things that were meaningful to me. When he was so hungry and so cold sitting in a barrack, you know what he said to himself? He said, I can't wait to dream. Because when I go to sleep and when I dream, there is nothing the Nazis can do to determine or dictate what I do. I get to control what I dream about. I get to imagine what life could be like for me. And so we have a man who has every excuse in the book to say life is not fair and everything against me is not fair. And you know what he does? He says the following. He says, I need the ability to control. Because you know why politicians can't get it right? You know why we continuously mess up along the journey of life? When we make excuses, which is something we all do, we give up control. We say to ourselves, I can no longer control where I end up. I'm at the mercy of other people around me. And so if I'm a Republican and it's a Democratic president, I can't become wealthy. Look at this. It's Barack Obama in office. He's stacking the cards against me. He's giving all of my money to the poor, the socialists. I can't survive. And if I'm a Democrat, this guy Trump is crazy. How on earth am I supposed to survive a rigged game? He's giving all of the money to the rich. I can't survive. He doesn't care about me. All he cares about is the rich. You know, my favorite example of what we do when we make excuses comes from the sports world. We're playing in a very, very competitive game. And it comes down to the final seconds. And the referee makes a call. And all of a sudden, I lose hope at winning. And what do I say to myself? It was the ref's fault. I had an opportunity to win, and the ref blew it. The ref ruined my opportunity for me to win the game. But how about this, boys? How about we can take a wake-up call and we can say to ourselves, what could you have done differently in that game? Why was it up to the referee for you to win that game? How about this? Take a 30-point lead and then let the referee make a mistake. Not such a big deal anymore, right? This is what we need to do. We need to understand that we will have every opportunity to make an excuse. And sometimes will be true. It'll be a valid excuse. Maybe it was the teacher's fault. Maybe it is that the religion is too complicated and I don't understand Vav Hahi Puch. But I need to find fault within myself. Not because I want to make other people feel better, but if there's nothing that was wrong with what I did, if there is no fault from something that I did, I have no control. And if I have no control, I'm at the mercy and the will of everybody else around me but me. So I'm going to ask the question one more time, but just a little bit different. Knowing what we know now, knowing that we not only need to deflect and to push away what other people are doing, but we need to assume responsibility and we need to find fault within ourselves. Not only is it important enough for me to say, do I want to be wealthy? But the real question is, do I have what it takes to be wealthy? Do I have what it takes to find fault within myself so that I can control my own destiny, and me and only me will determine how I can be wealthy. Thank you.